Everybody buckle up. Let's call this meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson? Here. Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Item number 2 will be the statement from the Board Vice President, Cheryl Kelly.
As we begin this meeting, let us pause for a 60-second moment of silence to reflect, meditate, pray, or engage in other silent activity.
Thank you. Next item will be the Pledge of Allegiance led by the Board Clerk, Jerry Denton.
Please stand.
Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item will be the formal adoption of the agenda. Do I have any questions?
Make a
Move.
motion to approve.
Go ahead. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson? Yes. Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item will be the minutes from the December 11th meeting. Discussion?
Move approval of the December 11th, 2017 regular board meeting minutes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen? I've lost your voting buttons.
I was going to say, I'm on the wrong.
Yeah, we went to
Yeah, we
item
went to
6.
the
Okay.
Oh, we'll
number
just do it
6.
manually.
I'm not the only
Yeah.
one.
Go ahead and call Ms. Kelly again, please. Okay. No. go
I'm
call
sorry, Ms. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item, number 6, Dr. Dunlop.
Yes, so number 6, January is Board Recognition Month, and in celebration of that, we would like to take this opportunity to thank these 5 individuals up here. A lot of people don't realize that, yes, we have board meetings every month, but the amount of time and dedication that they show to our district, unbelievable, and we truly thank them. It's a thankless job a lot of the time, and we appreciate them and the service that they provide to our district. It's very, very cute. We've got tons of cards up here that our students wrote to thank our board members for their service. So it's pretty cool that
It is
they're having this opportunity to go through and see the thank yous from the students. On behalf of the school district and all of our staff and teachers and students, thank you very, very much for your service.
Truly a friend of the crown.
Dilly, dilly. Thank you. Next item, number 7, Ms. Coates.
Good evening, President Allen, board members, and Dr. Dunlop. I bring to you tonight a discussion, motion, and vote on motion to approve or disapprove the offer of employment to an individual to serve as the Executive Director of Secondary Instruction, with such employment to subject to a mutually acceptable and fully executed written contract of employment. I bring to you tonight Ms. Sharon James, and she is coming to us from Sand Springs. She's an administrator in Sand Springs. She has her bachelor's degree from Oklahoma State University in elementary education. She has 2 master's degrees from OSU, community and school counseling, and the other one in educational leadership studies. I'm just going to read to you a little bit about all the hats that Miss James is currently wearing. She's like a a one-woman road show. She practically runs the district, I think, in Sand Springs. She is currently site and district, works with their accreditation. She is the curriculum and instructional leader for the secondary. She is the professional development coordinator. She is a part of the implementation team for response to intervention. She is on the oversight for the secondary counseling and guidance program, and she's implemented and coordinated the PLC program. She is also the district testing coordinator on top of all of that. And she supervises the implementation for testing for 12 school sites, and she assists with the ACE remediation program there in Sand Springs. So we are getting an outstanding candidate, and I am proud to have her come to Broken Arrow and be a partner with us on our instructional team. So please welcome Ms. Sharon James after the vote. I always forget that.
Any discussion or questions?
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second, please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes.
All right, Ms. Sharon James, please stand up. Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Welcome. Next item, number 8, comments from the public. We have none. Next item will be 9, the consent agenda. Any questions or conversation with the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move the general consent agenda items.
Second?
Motion and a second, please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes. Next item, 44, Mr. Moore.
Good evening. I'm seeking your approval of the HVAC bid received on the Kirkland Auditorium project from Custom Heat and Air in the amount of $66,834. Bids were open on January 4th. We received 3 bids. Payment will come from building funds, and all the bidding was conducted pursuant to the Oklahoma Competitive Bidding Act.
Questions?
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second, please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moore. Next item, 45, Mr. Ptolomeo.
Good evening. I'm here to seek your approval for all the student furniture for Phase 1 Freshman Academy in the amount of $162,801.40.
I do have a question, one quick question. Now, when we say we're going to be purchasing furniture, will that be furniture throughout the facility, or do we already currently have furniture there, and this is in addition to bring us up to where we need to be with furniture?
We're currently looking at all of the facility as a whole and our bond funds that are available. Right now, we're going to buy Phase 1, which is the media center, the office addition, and science labs. And then Phase 2 will come probably in the next couple months, and all of that stuff will come in August. So that Phase 2, that's why it's broken up into Phase 1 right now. And this stuff is scheduled to arrive for occupancy early March.
I appreciate that answer. I think some people would have questions if they're looking at the agenda item relative to that. Thank you.
You get other bids on it?
We have a large bid, and they honor their prices for the next 3 years. So I think we're at the tail end of that, so we'll look at bidding it out probably this summer when that time runs out.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes. Next item, 46, Mr. Ptolomeo.
46 is all the teacher desks and office desks and like lateral files and bookcases and stuff like that.
Okay. Are these from the same company, Mr. Ptolomeo?
No, they're 2 separate companies. With that, when we bid it out, this other company was cheaper on
Okay.
office furniture.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Move approval?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors.
Yes.
Ms. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Next item, 47, Mr. Greathouse.
Good evening, Dr. Dunlop, Mr. Allen, and members of the board. Tonight I bring to you for discussion, motion, and vote on motion for approval or disapproval for an agreement between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Artome for providing frames for students' artwork as part of a fundraiser. This is at no cost to the district. This was a fundraiser that was approved last spring. It's an opportunity for our students to have their artwork displayed in a professional manner and an opportunity for the families to purchase after viewing. Because of the timing of our 5th grade musical and art show, they've already had an opportunity to see it. However, they would not be able to purchase until board approval.
Questions?
Move approval?
Second?
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, 48, Ms. Enoff.
Good evening. I'll go over the December synopsis very quickly. We don't have a whole lot of activity going on in December. What I'd more like to concentrate on tonight is the discussion of our midterm adjustment that we received in January. Overall, for December, we are in a very good financial picture. Most of the expenses across all categories are down, especially when you take into consideration that we opened a brand new elementary school at the beginning of this school year. Anytime we open a new building, of course, that brings associated costs, fixed costs with that type of activity. So if you don't have any specific questions about December, I'll touch on the midterm adjustment very briefly. The positive news for us is that we did not receive any cuts in January. Overall revenue for the state is up. Collections have been good so far, and so when the State Board of Equalization met in December, everything was on track for them, so no cuts were passed down to public agencies so far. Not anticipating any cuts to finish out this school year, so our weighted ADM number actually went up a few dollars to $3,045. One of the most glaring effects for us was a decrease in state aid, but that was due to our chargeable for local property taxes increasing significantly. If you recall, in September, our values for both Tulsa and Wagner County increased by 5 to 6%, and so that is a significant chargeable out of the formula of about $600,000. So I think I've told the board this in the past, that it's kind of that gradual shift from what the state is contributing to what is placed on the burden of our local taxpayers, and so we saw that when we received our allocation in January. So that was really the most significant thing. What you will also see in just in December, how much more ad valorem money we have collected in general and building fund. And when we received the large payment in January, we're up about $1 million in that category. So that's good news. We typically collect at a very high collection percentage for that, so that's a very dependable, stable source of revenue. But again, it's that shift from what the state has been contributing to more so on our local tax dollars.
Ms. Enoff, what's the percentage state aid versus local aid for our district?
It's about 45-45 at this point.
I do have a question. Not really a question. I'm not looking for answers necessarily, but just to pose a question. This weekend, I was at the Oklahoma School Board Association meeting, Board of Directors, and we're talking about federal dollars. And so I'm sure you're keeping a close eye as we move forward with the budgeting process federally and how that might impact our school system. So just as you may not or may have more information, but as you do, I think it would be good. I'm concerned with the Title IIA monies, the monies we use to train our staff. Certainly, I think that that's a huge benefit to our community. Well, certainly our students, but our staff, that's vital to us. And so we did have somebody from the National School Board Association this weekend talk to us a little bit about that process. So there is some talk about potentially cutting that. So just FYI, I am definitely concerned about federal dollars and how that might impact us.
Of course, and the restrictions that they're putting on those federal dollars
Yes.
are tightening
Yes.
every year, and we have to be very careful too to not supplant, to supplement, not supplant, if you will, and to make sure that those federal dollars are being spent in accordance to the budget that's passed by the particular federal program, and that we're following all those guidelines appropriately. So that is something that we are constantly scrutinized on. Our auditors obviously pay very close attention to that as well. So we will keep an eye on those dollars, because really the Title IIA money that you mentioned, that is the bulk of our professional development money for our teachers and our principals, because we have cut back so much in general fund. And so a lot of the travel that we are processing now is coming from federal dollars.
Natalie, from our $100+ million budget as a district, federal dollars are about what, 10 million?
10 to 12.
10 and 12.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you ever foresee, we have the taxpayer lawsuit where the assessments were wrong in some other districts and things like that, and that's doing its deal. So, we're getting these high assessments. Could you ever see where that could be politically motivated, possibly to shift state burden to local burden by these higher assessed values? 5% is high, I would think, for a adjustment from your assessed value in 1 year, comparative to what we've seen in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Could you ever, I guess I don't want you to answer a political question, but is that possible?
I mean, I wouldn't close the door on that possibility, no.
Okay.
I think that, as the funding picture continues to be rather unstable,
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't say no, it's not a
Because
possibility.
it could be an easy way to fix some financial responsibilities from the state side to shift it locally, right?
Yeah, we're still involved in that lawsuit, by the way.
Right. All right, thanks for the good news.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, any other questions? Okay, next item, 49.
My next item is to ask the board to set a date, a special board meeting date in February to sell the next set of GO bonds. We will be selling $20,325,000 in general obligation bonds, and we need to set a special board meeting in February at noon while the market is open to be able to sell that next series. So our financial advisor has given us the dates of Thursday, February 22nd, or Friday, February 23rd for that special board meeting. So I would ask the board to set that meeting tonight.
I will make either one of those work.
Me
I'm
too.
good on the 23rd. I'm good on both.
23rd.
Does 23rd work best for everyone's
me, it
schedules?
does, yeah.
Okay,
We can
we'll
make
need to
23rd.
make a motion, and that'll be at noon, correct,
That's,
Natalie?
that's correct.
Okay. Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Wait, are we gonna-
Second.
Wait.
Oh.
Are we going to approve the date, though?
Yes,
for that? Do we need to-
23rd.
Do we need to put that in the
Okay,
time into
let me
the
go ahead
motion?
and do that.
Okay.
I move that we set the date for the sale of the $20,325,000 general obligation combined purpose bonds for February the 23rd at noon. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
You gonna send us something?
Yeah.
We get a calendar reminder on that? Okay, thank you. Do we have a
Second.
motion and a second? Please call the roll.
Was it Miss Kelly and Mr. Denton?
It was
First and
Ms.
second.
Kelly and
Ms. Dr. Williamson?
Teresa, Dr.
Okay.
Williamson.
Oh,
Okay,
Yep.
sorry. All right, Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Thank
I
you.
don't see any buttons.
I don't either.
There you go.
Okay.
There we go. All right, next item, new business. We have none. Next item, 51. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second, please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes,
World record.
thank you.
Yay.